It's too hot.
Is it too hot?
I don't know. Shouldn't be asking me. I'm not going to do warmer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So thank you very much for being here. So in our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, I'm sorry, everyone here, is anyone new to our program? Like, are you aware of programs done by ISKCON?
Most of them attended.
Everyone? So I can just jump into Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy.
They are like a couple of them are few months.
Okay. Life has a purpose. To know the purpose of life is what could make us happy. Happiness is very much desired. So then, what could be a universal definition of happiness that would apply to all living entities? The quest to try and understand this universal principle of happiness applicable to each and every living entity in all species of life makes the human form of life successful. For it is only in the human form that one can attempt to understand this principle.
It's a special sound system, so if you don't continuously speak, just
oh, so this is no, my voice does not have much inflections. However, the feedback, it seems there are inflections, right? Or deflections.
So what the Bluetooth? No, it's a wireless mic.
It's wireless.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right. So it is only in the human form of life that one can try to make an attempt at not just knowing this principle, but also, if needed, apply this principle in our lives and help others also get benefit from its application. So in the great land of Bharatvarsha, which in today's times is also called as India, civilization has been extant since thousands of years. Some say 5,000-year-old civilization, some say 10,000. But definitely, it seems to be one of the oldest civilizations. And in the civilization, this quest amongst humans has always been there. And the ancestors, the previous generations, over each and every generation has worked hard to try and refine a thought process or a practical attempt to design a process that could help all of us achieve real happiness. So what is real happiness? So these thoughtful people from the past they experienced through their own practices a reality of life wherein the conception of an absolute truth was very relevant. And the absolute truth has to be all attractive. So the language in which these previous generations would communicate was the Sanskrit language. So in Sanskrit, all attractive, the idea of all attractiveness is easily communicated through the word Krishna. In the dictionary, the Shabdakosh dictionary, the Sanskrit dictionary, Krishna, the meaning of this word Krishna is Sarva Akarshiti. So the Vedic dictionary always defines a word in certain conceptions, or it gives a meaning of certain words in the form of a phrase, and each phrase would end with iti, xyz. Iti xyz would mean that this is the meaning of that word. All right? So sarva akarshati iti Krishna. So iti Krishna. What is Krishna? Sarva akarshati. Sarva means all. Akarshati means attractive. So the conception of the absolute truth was accepted. And since there has to be some understanding of the absolute truth at our level, Krishna was understood to the human intelligence as that moiety, that principle, that existence which is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So wherever there is the possibility of eternity existing, that was considered to be, or wherever there is a possibility of consciousness existing, that was considered to be a part and parcel of the absolute truth. So now, wherever consciousness is exhibited in whatever species of life, that conscious element is part and parcel of Krishna. So which basically means every single unit of consciousness around us in this universe is part and parcel of Krishna. The Sanskrit word for single unit, as a single unit, I have to use a word to define myself, or you have to use a word to define yours, or just express yourself. So that is Atma. So Atma means the self. The self is part and parcel of the absolute truth, Krishna. So Krishna also has to be Atma. Right? So Krishna would also express himself as Atma. However, since Krishna is the absolute truth, he is the topmost Atma. So in Sanskrit, topmost is called as the word used for topmost is Param. So now Krishna is Paramatma, and each living entity is Atma. The connection between the Atma and Paramatma in terms of reciprocal dealings is what inspires philosophy or philosophical thought processes. What is its connection? So when the connection is made in terms of how the Atma can always be happy serving the Paramatma, or how each living entity can be happy serving Krishna. And why service? Because a part and parcel renders service to the whole. That's logic, math. So all of this was thought of by previous generations. So they gave us all these delineations. So the idea of having a lifestyle based on each living entity, including ourselves, serving the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Absolute Truth Krishna, is called as Vaishnavism. Actually, it is, in the English world, it is called as Vaishnavism. In Sanskrit, it is just called as Bhakti. But then, as the world evolved in the past couple of centuries, there had to be a certain way to delineate groups. So they started using XYZ isms. So bhakti is a process where one serves Krishna because that is the constitutional position. How do you serve Krishna? Krishna is all attractive, but how do you serve Krishna? Where can I find to do service, to have dealings? We need to have understanding of time and space. Yes. So where do I find Krishna in time and space? In that format. So one who exists at all times and in all spaces. That aspect of the Supreme Absolute Truth, Vasati Sarvatra. Vasati exists Sarvatra at all times and in all spaces. Vasati Sarvatra Iti. So now we are going to have another word from the Sanskrit dictionary being defined to us. Vasati Sarvatra Iti Vishnu. So the practical demonstration of service unto Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is when we understand Krishna is available right here, right now, can be available tomorrow, somewhere else, wherever we are. Because Krishna exists everywhere. Vasati Sarvatra. So those who worship Krishna as Vishnu, not in the sense of some form, but Vishnu, who exists to reciprocate with us in all spaces, at all times. They are called as Vaishnava. And as I stated, in the past few centuries, we have named this group of people who have a certain kind of lifestyle as Vaishnavayites, and the practices is known as Vaishnavism. All right? Vaishnavism is expressed in various languages. It has its regional approaches too. So when the regional approach of Vaishnavism that is practiced in today's times from the land or from the region of Gauda is seen, that is called as Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So where is the land of Gauda? So in the previous centuries, many centuries ago, the land of Bharatvarsha was divided into two, north and south, by a huge mountain range called as the Vindhyas. South of the mountains, the lands was called as Dravida Desh. And north of the mountains, this mountain range was called as Gauda Desh. But then, slowly communities started forming. So at one point of time, maybe Allegheny County was just a county with not many communities, and slowly communities started formed. So there was Wexford, there was Upper St. Clair. Wexford is also Allegheny.
Yes.
Good. All right. So slowly, you had various communities come up, and now people started identifying themselves according to that community. So over a certain period of time, the idea of Gauda was restricted to Bengal in India and Odisha. North, the northern part of Odisha. The southern part of Odisha was called as Utkam, up to the northern part of Andhra. And the southern part of Andhra to the tip of south of India was called as, during the British times, it was called as either the Chola, the Pandyas, or Chennai, Madras constituency. So during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? We in ISKCON, based on our understanding of the teachings given by our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, we understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be non-different from Krishna. So Krishna has appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for certain purposes. The primary purpose is to help us practice a path of self-realization, practice a path that will help us fulfill our constitutional duty of serving Krishna through a process called as Sankirtan, congregationally chanting the holy names of the Supreme Lord, specifically in the form of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna Mahamantra is made up of 16 words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared about 550 years from today. He appeared 550 years ago, roughly about that time. According to the English calendar, it could be considered to be a certain ideas that it is about 1486 AD. That makes it roughly 550 years now. Okay. So during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, the region of Bengal and North Orissa was still referred to as Gauda Desh. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being one of the prominent teachers in our lineage, which ISKCON is one prominent institution. He or his practices, his teachings were referred to as Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So now we understand what is Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Okay. That was a really short crash course. If I have a surprise, I could do that. So I think it is just all the aura of this wonderful audience here that stimulated me. What do you think? Maybe I should nominate myself for the Nobel Prizes. So thank you very much for helping me do that. So in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, based on the teachings of one of our prominent inspirations, Srila Prabhupada, we have a lot of affection for Giriraj Govardhan. And who is Giriraj Govardhan? A hill, a huge mountain. See, we are nature lovers. So Giriraj is a beautiful mountain in the land of Vrindavan, Krishna's land. One conversation, very, very early times of ISKCON, in one conversation, Srila Prabhupada was explaining about Krishna. And somebody asked him, so where does Krishna live? He said, Vrindavan. Where is Vrindavan? He said, Krishna's home. So it is the home of Krishna. So the present month of Kartik is a very special month for those who follow the traditions of Sanatana Dharma. If you are from a family that has some understanding of Sanatana Dharma, then this month is special. It is called as the month of Kartik. Any idea why? Because that would be the end of the harvest season. So we have nice produce at home. Everyone has nice produce. So whenever you go shopping and you bring back this bags full of so many resources, don't you feel happy about it? So in previous generations, because it was the harvest season, post-harvest season, the month of Kartik was a month where everyone was happy, and also since they understood the importance of practices of Sanatana Dharma, they dedicate this entire month of Kartik to spiritual practices. So those were the days where everything was local. There were no global supply chains. In today's times, we just follow tradition. Because for us, how does it matter if there's harvest season or no harvest season? All that matters is if the supply chain is good and there's sufficient toilet papers at Costco's. Remember the pandemic? Everyone was so concerned. Do we have a stock of toilet papers or no? So in the month of Kartik, about 5,000 years ago, Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill on the little finger of his left hand. He was only 7 years old. And we were discussing how So a couple of things that Krishna did through this act. The first was that he established for the very first time a festival to worship Giriraj, called as Giriraj Puja. No one else had done that before Krishna. So Krishna began this festival, Giriraj Puja, the worship of Giriraj. And secondly, he did that, or he lifted the Giriraj hill after Giriraj Puja to save all the residents of Vrindavan. So what had happened? What was the calamity that struck Vrindavan? Let's hear some of the younger adults. Oh, we call them kids, right? Yeah. What was the calamity that struck Vrindavan? And
that's a question.
yeah, the younger members of our audience. Why did Krishna lift up the Govardhan hill? Yes.
Because Indra was upset that no one was worshiping him, and so he sent thunder and rain and clouds to Vrindavan.
Maybe you should have sent some rainbows too, right? You didn't do that. So that's correct. Everyone knew that? Did everyone know that? It's true. 5,000 years ago, Indradev, being very powerful, he decided that the residents of Vrindavan must be punished. He had his own reasons for that. So he was upset, right? So he wanted to punish the residents of Vrindavan. So he sent incessant rains. That it caused a huge flood in Vrindavan. Like a cloud burst that went down for 7 days and 7 nights. The clouds would just not move away from Vrindavan. And they were discharging so much water. There was no end to it. These are special clouds. They are called the Samavartaka clouds. Nice name? Samavartak. Samavartak clouds are those, the name suggests that it flattens everything by drowning all that exists. Samavartak clouds. The clouds of inundation. The clouds that would send forth rains of inundation. Krishna, please save us. Krishna said, all right, let us go to Giriraj. He has to figure out a solution. People believed him. They're like, all right, let us go to Giriraj. Sometimes it is very nice to find a childlike inclination within ourselves as adults, isn't it? So all the Vrajvasis found that. They're like, yeah, let us go and talk to the mountain. Seek help. They all accompanied Krishna along with the animals of Vrindavan. And they had so much faith in Krishna. And reciprocation, Krishna lifted up. And he invited all of them under the hill. They were excited. This was a new adventure for all of them. But Indra would not stop. 7 days, 7 nights. Thunder and lightning are around him. So, what was the second thing that Krishna did? Something very unique. He decided to patent a hill as an umbrella. Govardhan Hill now becomes an umbrella. And umbrella has a handle and then it has a canopy. So the canopy was Giriraj Hill, and what was the handle? Krishna's hand. So we've discussed, this is where we have stopped since ever, I guess, 3 sessions. So we're discussing about how in this material world, even if one is with Krishna, the material world sends forth situations that may not be very palatable, very acceptable to us. And therefore, we call those situations as miseries in life. So Krishna consciousness teaches us how not to have undesirable expectations. Everyone wants to be happy based on sensual perception. Is that true? Like, let's suppose there is pressure. Oh, let me give this example. This was a wonderful story told to us long ago. Long ago. Many years ago. A devotee narrated this story. So they all were living in a temple. In the early days of ISKCON, everyone would live at a temple because there were just a few dozen members at every temple. So they had come back from Sankirtan, a whole day of chanting and distributing literature. And there was a festival. And the highlight of the festival would be the cake. And everyone would always wait for the cake to come out. Rajas, you've heard this story before? You've heard this story before? Do you know who told us the story? Okay. That means I'm the only person who knows. That makes me feel special. So the cake was cut into small pieces and everyone got a piece. And no one could wait to put the piece of cake into their mouth. So they took that piece of, this particular devotee took that piece of cake and put it into his mouth and big bite. And suddenly his facial features turned into disgust. Oh, because it was full of salt. It was very salty. Now you don't expect cakes to be salty. Do you expect cakes to be salty? No. So surprised was he that he thought maybe there's a problem with my teeth. Because expectation, cake, that expectation was there. So rather than ask if there's a mistake or look around, the senses, they make us fall into this trap of imagined happiness through expectations, certain expectations. You thought maybe the cake has a problem on this side of that piece of cake. The other end of the cake may not be as bad. Maybe it will be sweet. So he turned the piece around. I took a ginger bite of it, and it was salty. Still. So the cook had put salt instead of sugar. Expectations. What do you think? After an entire day of Sankirtan, they come, they know it's a festival, they know there's going to be a cake, and then it is full of salt. Do you think there could be a bigger or greater misery than that? Even if they were told that the world is coming to an end, they're like, that is not as miserable as this. Relativity. The human mind, due to its training right since birth, figures out all these complex ways to have expectations just based on certain relative parameters. What is this saying? One man's food is another man's poison. You heard of that? Anyways, so miseries. We're talking about miseries. And then we took the shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Everyone remembers that verse? Where Krishna's lotus feet have been described as an umbrella. How many of us do not know this verse? If you do not, please raise up your hands and then we'll give you the reference. Who of us have not heard of the verse where Krishna's lotus feet are like an umbrella? Please, show of hands. 3, 4. Sorry, you are the minority.
Everyone has attended the classes.
Everyone has attended the class? I don't think so, but sometimes people are shy. So would you like to know the verse? All right, then we leave your smartphones out. Everyone has a smartphone. Please access it. Srimad Bhagavatam, SB, go to Google and search for SB 11.19.9. Okay? So let's chant this verse now. Ready? Tapatrayena bhihatasya ghore santapyamanasya bhavathvanisha pashyami nanya charanam Tavangri. Pitadhivarsha. So, Dvandvat Patrad, that word can be broken into two words. Sandhi Vichhed. What are the two words? Dvandva, Atpatrad. Dvandva means two, Atpatrad. In the word for word meaning, you won't find the meaning that I'm going to give it. This is according to the Sanskrit dictionary. Atpatrad means an umbrella. So two of what? Angri. Angri, the word right before Dvandvata Patrat is Tavangri. Tava means you, my dear Lord. Again, the word can be broken down into two. Tava, Angri. Angri is feet. So, Tavangri Dvandvata Patrat Amrita Vimarshat. Your two lotus feet are like an umbrella, which is very interesting in its feature. An umbrella keeps you dry from rain. This umbrella drenches you. This umbrella sends forth showers of Amrita, nectar. Why? Why does this umbrella of Krishna's lotus feet drown one? Or not drown, but drenches one. It elixir with nectar, with Amrita. Because the verse says, Tapatrayanaabhihatasya ghore, intense subjugation to pain and misery by threefold mediums of receiving misery. Miseries that are born of our own body and mind, miseries that are given to us by other living entities, and miseries that come to us through our existence in this creation universe. Natural calamities. Trayana abhihatasya. So since it is abhihatasya, miseries coming at you from each and every direction, therefore you have to be drenched with Amrita, with nectar from each and every direction. So abhivarsha. Krishna's lotus feet are such that they give you protection left, right, center. They give you protection in all the 10 directions, and not just give you protection, they also give you, they rejuvenate you. It's rejuvenation. All right? The nature of human interactions is very interesting. Because in human interactions, one will at least have a minimum of two perspectives to an incident based upon time, place, and circumstance. At least two. It could be more than two. Right? Ah, Prashad. Now it's time for Prashad. So happy. Once you've had your full, please, no more. So based on time, place, and circumstance, there's another perspective right there. Correct? This is how human interactions are, or human behavior is. It is called the world of duality. So once upon a time, an old lady who had two daughters married off to two gentlemen was feeling very miserable. Now she is an old lady from, let's say, Vellore. Is Vellore all right? Yes?
That's my birthplace.
Okay. That's in ISKCON we say that is Paramatma inspiring. Anyways, so Vellore, the old lady from Vellore, a nice town in India. 2 daughters, married off. So she's feeling some anxiety, very stressed out. What does she do? She finds the closest mountain around Vellore, climbs up the mountain because there she knows there will be a sadhu. There'll be some holy person right there. So she goes to this holy person. She says, Swamiji, please help me. He says, yes, how can I help you? You see, I have married off my daughters, 2 of them. One of them is married to a merchant whose business is to make papads. Papadam? Appam? What is papad in English? What do you call it? Fryams. Fryams is close enough. I mean, not really close enough, but okay. Fryams. Is that what you said? Fryams. So business of manufacturing fryams. Olden days, we did not have big machines, so you had to make it by hand. So he had a team of people who were employed manufacturing fryams. Okay. The other daughter is married to a gentleman who's also a businessman, and his business is manufacturing umbrellas. So you see the umbrella connection now. My story is about, this presentation is about umbrellas, right? So then, why are you in anxiety? Are there any problems, household problems? Anything? No, they're all very happy. What is your anxiety about? Oh, Swamiji, whenever it rains, I become so stressed out because when I wonder that my daughter who's married to the merchant who manufactures fryams, they won't have any business because in the rains there's going to be no sun. You cannot dry out these fryams. Then I really worry for her. So the Swamiji says, the saintly person says, and what about the other daughter? Well, she's married to a person who makes umbrellas. So whenever it is the summer season, the hot season, I'm in great anxiety. Because who's going to buy umbrellas in the summer season? There are no rains. She started crying right there. Somebody said, Amma, please quiet down. You should be happy. She said, Swami, how can I be happy? You don't have a life. I have a life. You don't have any family. I have a family. So you can very easily say, be happy. How can I be happy? I am crying for one daughter during the rainy season and the other daughter during the summer season, the hot season. So Swamiji told her, no, you should be happy because you are such an intelligent lady. She said, I'm intelligent. Swamiji, tell me more. She said, yes. See, when your daughter that is married to the fryams manufacturer, in the summer season, they make so much business. They make so much money. She said, oh yeah, I'm happy now. But what about my other daughter? She says, during the rainy season, they sell so many umbrellas. And they make so much money. She's like, Swamiji, you are Sakshat Bhagavan for me. You have so easily solved my problem. And Swamiji is like, yes, therefore you should chant Hare Krishna. Because it helps you have the right perspective. So there's always at least two perspectives to a situation. Now, depending upon what perspective is subscribed to, it could either make us feel happy or make us feel miserable. Right? So yesterday we were describing about Prahlad Maharaj. Hiranyakashipu was sending him so much misery. Prahlad Maharaj was completely unaffected. He was happy living his life. Although Hiranyakashipu was giving him so much misery. On the other hand, Hiranyakashipu had all benedictions to be happy. But he saw that Prahlad, he is not affectionate towards me. His own conception. He is not very affectionate towards my own son. Therefore, I must kill him. And he was miserable. Therefore, let us try and discuss on this. We have an umbrella. An umbrella is Krishna's lotus feet. Once we have taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, we also understand that as long as we have this human form of life, as long as we have a material body, the material body will go through its journey. One is going to be hungry, one is going to feel thirst, one is going to face situations where one will be challenged physically, mentally, emotionally. Challenges could turn out to be experiences where we are happy, or it could be experiences where we are miserable. Isn't it? So, let us now, I would like to bring unto you a story from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. Happiness and distress. That is what we are discussing, despite having shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. And how these perspectives are always there in almost every human interaction. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas and he was residing at Jagannath Puri. For those of you, if this is really very, very new information to process, I would recommend that you could visit our ISKCON center or ask somebody who's connected to ISKCON and refer to a book called as Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's just a book set of 7 volumes. That's it. And it is a good read. It is an easy read. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas. In Jagannath Puri, he was inspired to go traveling. He wanted to tour holy places. So from Jagannath Puri, which is like in the east, on the eastern shore of India, somewhere mid-India, like in between north and south, the midpoint of north and south. So from there, he decided to travel south. And his travels to these southern regions of India is known as the South Indian Tour of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The first place where he stopped after departing from Jagannath Puri to take some rest, or the first place that is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is Kurma Kshetra. Kurma Dev is one of the 10 incarnations of Lord Krishna, the Dashavatara. where the Lord appears as a tortoise. So there he was very happy to take darshan, to have the opportunity to see the form of the Lord as Kurmadev. A local Brahman approached him that you are a sannyasi, please come to my home. I would like to offer the hospitality of my house to you. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted. He stayed there for the night. The next morning, he decided to leave, go further south. When he left, the Kurma Brahman was feeling intense separation. At that moment, another gentleman came to this very place where the Kurma Brahman was there. His name was Vasudeva Vipra. Somehow he had been struck with leprosy and his whole body was covered with active sores, like sores oozing out all infected material. In fact, there were live worms, maggots and worms in some of those sores. And he was completely okay with it. Not that he was invalid, not that he was unconcerned about his health, but he felt that as much right he had to the resources of this body, the other living entities also had privileges to this body. So somehow these living entities had come to this body, his body. He felt that they also have a privilege to the resources of the body. And hence, he was unaffected by it. I've heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is here. Please tell me, where is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Kurma Brahman was completely, he was in a dazed state. All he could say, as tears were falling down his cheeks from his eyes, he could say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has left. Vasudeva Vipra. These words had a devastating effect on him. He didn't know what to do. He was stunned. Tears just automatically started falling down. His cheeks too. Oh, I'm so fallen. I'm so unfortunate. I had this opportunity to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, and I lost this opportunity. Please, my dear Lord, please, please, please be merciful on me. Somehow or the other, his words of supplication, his words of wanting to be with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wherever he was. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, boom, he appeared right there, back again. Vasudeva Vipra was so happy. Kurma Brahman was happier. My Lord is back. Lord Chaitanya looked at Vasudeva Vipra. Vasudeva Vipra could not believe his eyes. Sometimes it is helpful to be poetic in such situations. So Chaitanya Charitamrita describes this very poetically. Like a thirsty person, he was drinking in the nectar of Lord Chaitanya's form in front of him. With his eyes, with his ears, with his sense of smell, he was taking in this beautiful darshan of Lord Chaitanya in front of him. And then Lord Gauranga walks up to him and embraces him. And as Lord Chaitanya is embracing him, what is happening? All the infectious material from those infected sores on his body gets transferred to Lord Chaitanya's beautiful body. And Vasudeva Vipra is very, very unhappy putting Lord Chaitanya in such a situation. He feels that my greatest fortune to have Lord Chaitanya's darshan, to see Lord Chaitanya, has now given me the greatest of all misery, because I am the cause of having the Lord's body being covered with all of this smelly, infectious substances. Lord Chaitanya embraced him once more. And he was like, my dear Lord, please, 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 I'm infected, please stay away from me. I'm a leper. He embraced him. Suddenly, his sore-filled body transformed. It was healthy all over again. Brilliant effulgence, such aura. It looked so beautiful. Vasudeva Vipra looked at his body and is like, Lord, my dear Lord, this is just your mercy. What is impossible for you? And then they had a conversation. Interesting conversation. So we are listening to this narration because we are trying to understand that how the material world is a world of duality, isn't it? Happiness and misery. The same experience is happiness at a certain time in certain circumstances, and it could be misery at another place or circumstance. So, what was the conversation they had? We are going to again read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. I'll give you the reference and we'll read it. So now you have to search for CC Madhya 7.147. Madhya, MADHYA. CC Madhya 7.147. All right?
You want to reduce the content. Or open the window.
Okay? We have the verse. Let's recite the verse. प्रभु कहे कभू तोमार न हवे अभिमान
प्रभु कहे कभू तोमार न हवे अभिमान
निरंतर कहो तुम्ही कृष्ण कृष्ण नाम
निरंतर कहो तुम्ही कृष्ण कृष्ण नाम.
Right? This is Bengali language. Prabhu kahe, the Lord said, kabhu tomara na hobe abhiman. You will never be affected by false pride. Nirantara kahatumi Krishna Krishna. And therefore, you should constantly chant the names of Krishna. All right? Why were they having this conversation? So as soon as Lord Chaitanya transformed his body from a diseased body into a healthy, attractive body, Vasudeva Vipra had a concern. He said, my dear Lord, now that I have a beautiful body, people are going to offer praises unto me. and I will accept those praises as being true. And then I'll become proud of my beautiful body. And if I become proud of my beautiful body, then I'll forget you. Interesting. The devotees of Braja, the residents of Vrindavan, when they were with Krishna under the hill for 7 days and 7 nights, what could have been one of the qualifications for someone to be there? Because it's miserable all around. But being with Krishna makes them happy. On the other hand, if there is happiness, but it makes you forget Krishna, then Vasudeva that feels that is not very favorable for him. So happiness and distress both are very powerful distractions in this material world. Because each experience is based on sensual perception. For example, many of us like Kirtan. Do we like Kirtan? Yes. Now some of us like Kirtan when it is like a madhouse. Now you take these people and put them in a Kirtan where there is a slow melody going on. They're like, Prabhu, fast. Very fast. True? Another example. Day of Ekadashi, fasting from grains. Next day, one has to end one's fast with paran. And let's suppose you've been fasting without food and water. And the time when you can end your fast is 7:44 a.m. I guess that is the time. If I'm not wrong. Sorry? 7:56 a.m. And you have not had a drop of water or a grain of food prasad. Since 7:15, the anticipation, isn't it? 7:30 now, 7:31 now. At 7:55, each movement of the second hand is like, each blip of a second is like, now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. There's absolutely no chance that we can focus on the Mahamantra. And 7:56, all right, I'll be back. It's very important. We have to end the fast on time. Otherwise, the fast is not beneficial on time. You go and they'll tell you, sorry, Prabhu, kitchen is not open. You go, what? Why? 7:56. I said, yeah, but there's a window, 7:56 to 10:44. So the kitchen counter is going to open at 9:30. Wow, I better move to another temple. Well, these are experiences from our life, right? What does that mean? It means that happiness is also a distraction. Someone who loves to like Hare Krishna, and go on like that for 4 hours. You bring that person to a fast kirtan where every 2 seconds there's a different melody. Two groups. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Two different groups challenging each other with they're playing that Antarakshari. And you get this person there. He's like, I would rather be somewhere else. So happiness and distress. Vasudev Vipra had that challenge in his life. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu benedicted him. He's concerned. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has to give him another benediction. What is the benediction? I tell you, you will never suffer from the disease of false pride. It will not infect you. You simply go on chanting Krishna's names. Which again means, if you take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna's names, then those holy names become an umbrella that shelter us from unrequired experiences of material happiness. If we are not careful of the distraction that material happiness can bring in the form of, even if it is in the form of devotional practices. If the happiness is on the material platform, what is material platform? My senses feel happy. Then that could also take our consciousness away from Krishna's shelter. The interesting thing about an umbrella is that an umbrella not only gives you shelter during rains, but it also gives you shelter during intense heat. Two extremes, isn't it? Similarly, happiness and distress are two extremes. They're the opposites of each other. And the same lotus feet of Krishna acts as an umbrella in both the situations. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Any questions, comments?
Today you have connected the 2 feet of the Lord, the umbrella to the holy name.
I did that?
So,
I must be amazing, isn't it?
definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback.
Tomorrow we have to see what happens.
Oh, there's still umbrella. There's more of.
So Hare Krishna, tomorrow we have a program at G
Yes.
Rohinipriya Prabhu and Anita Mataji's home.
What this? Delineate? Oh, when you take an object and divide it into different parts, or according to a common quality that each part could have, that is called as delineation. All right? Like, let's say you're going to school. So this is how you could use the word delineation or delineate. All right? You have to go to school tomorrow. So you think about, somebody asks you, so what are the tasks that you have to complete for tomorrow before you go to school? So let's say you have, in your mind, you understand there are 5 tasks. So you could say, I have been delineated 5 tasks for tomorrow. Is that good? Okay? You're welcome.
So, everyone, you're welcome tomorrow for our program, tomorrow evening also. Prabhuji will be here, he will talk, continuation of the same theme. So, it's in South few minutes from here. Please, all of you post a message in the group to come.
So stop. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.